We're back! Hey everybody, we're back with our next installment of beer tasting and review for you. We're going to have a bit of a challenge tonight. This is going to be an IPA off. I'd like to think that we have the best IPAs, but in fact we probably have the best IPAs we could get our hands on. Texas has started cranking out a few pretty awesome IPAs lately. We couldn't get our hands on all of them for the tasting tonight, but trying to keep it to about a 4-drink challenge. We've kind of picked our favorite 4, and we're going to kind of have a little competition tonight to see how things go. So,
either way we win.
On the roster tonight, we've got the Dogfish Head 90-minute IPA, which I actually have on draft. So we've already poured this one. As you can see, it's got kind of a nice foamy, creamy head on it. I've already had one of these tonight, and I think it's going to be good again. That's just my guess. We've also got the Dogfish Head 120-minute IPA, which apparently is incredibly expensive for them to brew. That's what I assume, since these things are $10 a 12-ounce bottle here in Texas. But it is an amazing beer. So if you can get your hands on some of this stuff, highly recommend it. Yeah,
it's noteworthy to say on the label that it ages well.
Yeah, I think they actually on the bottle recommend aging it 5 to 10 years.
We don't have that much time.
I can't imagine. I mean, I've had it fresh, and I don't think it's going to last 5 to 10 years.
Just put it to you this way. If we're still doing these videos in 5 to 10 years, you need to seriously write us an email and tell us to stop.
I'm pretty sure they'll all be gone. I have, I think, 10 of them left.
Right.
So, yeah, they're really good. Okay, so moving on. You may notice here on the table I've got some Russian River Pliny the Elder. Now, this is not something you can typically get in Texas.
Make the trip.
Bradford and I did go to California together and brought back some Pliny, so we'll be having the Pliny tonight. And this Pliny, which we haven't been to California in a year, so that means that this Pliny is a year old. I know IPAs are typically recommended to be consumed fresh, but when you live in Texas and that's what you got to work with, then that's what happens. You end up hanging on to a bottle of Pliny for a year.
First world problems.
Then we've got Southern Star ProAm. Now this is kind of an interesting one, I know, to add to the mix, because we have a few very well-known IPAs here. The reason I decided to add this particular IPA was because the Southern Star Brewery here in Conroe, Texas, actually has an annual contest that they hold for people to bring in their brews, and the winner of this contest actually gets theirs brewed through the brewery as a Pro-Am beer. So this particular beer was the winner, and according to what I've read online, it was actually a Pliny clone. So I thought that was interesting to start with, and would be interesting to hold up next to the original Pliny. But also, a lot of the reviews I've been reading online have said not only is it a clone, but it's an improvement. So to have the, well, I don't know what Pliny is now considered, like the #1, #2 beer in the world, and then to have a local competitor that many are saying are better, I thought it might be nice to have them side by side. So. But we're going to start off, since we already have them poured, with the 90-minute IPA made by Dogfish Head. This was kegged in August of this year, 2012, and so it was pretty fresh. Definitely the hoppy notes that you would expect from an IPA. And what I love about this particular beer is how much sweetness is in it. A lot of the times with IPAs, a lot of people get turned off because the hops is so bitter that people don't like them, but this is just has so much maltiness to it that it's just a nice balance for an IPA. And I mean, this is so good I'd buy a keg of it.
which he may or may not have done.
Which I did.
And I would agree, it's a very well-balanced beer, and I guess it's kind of worth mentioning, sort of in terms of fallen civilizations.
Wow, we're going to get cultural?
The 90-minute IPA, one of the greatest beers that I've ever had was this beer, the 90-minute IPA. There was a beer called the Squall.
Oh, I missed that beer.
And unfortunately, we can't do a tasting for you because that beer is now...
We drank it all.
We drank it all. Yeah, it's our fault. But it's extinct, it's defunct, but it was a 90-minute IPA aged on oak barrels. And you can definitely tell that this is... You can still tell that this was, the base beer. I can still tell that, but there was something just really exquisite about aging it on the oak barrels. I mean, it even mellowed the beer even more.
I still say the Squall was the perfect IPA.
We have friends, one in particular, who cannot, if you tell him that we're going to drink an IPA, he can't stand it. And we drank the Squall, and he said it was one of his favorite beers ever. So,
if you happen to come across a bottle or are sitting on a bottle and would like to sell it to us, please contact us down below.
Yeah.
Because I would love to have
We do have money, we are willing to pay.
Well, he has money, and he'll pay. I'll drink it.
Whatever, same difference.
So that is a fantastic beer. Again, very balanced, especially for an IPA, because when you think of IPAs, you think heavy on the hops. But
it's good for hopheads, but other drinkers would like it.
The aroma is heavy, and you smell it and you think, oh, this is going to be so bitter and hoppy. But the balance is just really there. So
let's move on.
Why do 90 when you can go 120? Because this one...
These go to 11.
Goes to 120. Alright.
And I like to say, and now for something completely different.
Yeah, it's funny because as I understand, these are essentially the same recipe. It just comes down to the boil time, whereas the 90-minute IPA is boiled for 90 minutes, and this is boiled for 120. So not only are the ingredients expensive for these beers, but once you run the boil time, I got a little more. Don't worry about it. Once you run the boil time, you lose so much product after boiling for 120 minutes. I have to assume that that's why it's so expensive. Maybe it's just an excuse.
Oh.
Cheers. Oh man. It just smells so much sweeter.
More intense, absolutely.
Oh gosh. That's almost like a Belgian. It's so sweet. Almost no hop notes whatsoever. I mean, you can taste them kind of in the back of the palate, but this is a sweet... I mean...
Yeah, it's really, there's almost some citrusy overtones to it. You really have to be here to try it, but since you're not, we'll continue to try it.
It tastes almost like a Belgian quad with citrus notes.
Yeah, that's the way to sum it up right there.
Well, we got to keep the show moving because we don't want people to get bored. I mean, even though we're enjoying these. I think it's time we bust open some Pliny.
That is fantastic.
This is my last bottle of Pliny, so I'm glad we're capturing this on video because this is the end of it.
This is really hard work.
Somebody's got to do it.
I know, and that's what I want to say is we're here for you, trying these beers, saving you from trying bad beer. You're welcome.
It's interesting how crisp the color is. Very clear.
It's very different than the other beers. It's almost
very clear.
That's almost kind of.
Whereas these are somewhat cloudy.
Yeah, if you'd handed me that and said that was Bud Light, I would have almost believed you.
So the aroma is kind of buttery.
Yeah.
And again, this has been aged, so it's probably not going to be very dry. Very dry and
extremely dry.
But not as hoppy as I remembered it being.
Still a little bit, but
well,
not like sticking to your face in a bunch of flowers, which is what I remember from Pliny.
Yeah. It is really good. I see how it gets such a high regard. Okay, let's keep the show moving.
Yeah. Rolling
so
on.
now onto the Pro-Am.
Homegrown.
Love busting open a can. Because that means that no light has penetrated.
Drink. That's a secret word for drinking.
Alright.
Remember the word penetration.
Here we go with the Southern
Drink.
Star Pro-Am. Interesting to see. It's going to be going head to head.
So if this is the beer that inspired, looks a little more copper to me.
It does.
More cloudy.
Not quite as clear. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely. Quite different in terms of color and
Sure.
clarity.
Looks almost more like the 120 minute IPA.
Yep.
I don't know if you heard that, but
That was very...
I guess we both have to
I
drink.
guess we're going to both end up drinking beer, so it's okay. Whoa.
Wow, way more floral.
Yeah, hopheads unite on that one. I mean...
So I've now tasted them all. If I could put a hand on any one, it's going to have to be the 120 for me because I come from Belgian loving beers, so...
you have to understand is that this guy really, his whole love affair with beer started with the Belgian. Just, was it Quack was the first beer?
Quack started it all for me.
It's always something. It's always a beer that just turns the switch. And I agree. I find that if you like IPAs, if you're really into hops, Pliny and certainly the Southern Star Pro-Am will fit that bill. I mean, the Pro-Am is very floral, very hoppy.
Almost grapefruit?
Yeah.
I mean...
But if you're more willing to venture into the IPA realm, but you want something that's well balanced, I don't think you can get any better than the 120.
And actually, I think
the 90 is great too.
I think that if you want to try, it's like, okay, everybody talks about IPAs all the time. I'll give one a try. Start with the 90-minute IPA. You can get a 4-pack for about $10. You can find it pretty much anywhere. Whereas the 120 is a little hard to find. It's $10 a bottle. I would say that the 90-minute IPA is a great start if you're really wanting to try some IPAs, because I think as far as availability and best of breed, it's it's hard to beat. So I think that concludes our venture down IPA row, right?
Yeah. Now we have to turn off the camera and drink the rest of this beer.
Again, I know you feel bad for us right now, but
unless by raise of hands or comments, who wants us to just pour it out?
We could do that, but
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
There's already been 10 hits that were don't.
Don't
waste
do
the
that.
beer.
No, don't.
We'll drink it. It's okay.
So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post down below. We do have no life other than beer, and would be more than happy to answer any of your questions or comments. So
yeah, and send us some beers.
Yeah, we asked last time and nobody did that. We have not gotten any beer yet.
If you're going to ship beer, at least do it the right way. Pack it appropriately. That's probably another video. We can do a whole video on how to ship beer. So,
yeah.
Well,
until next time.
Until then.
Cheers.
Welcome to the show. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes good, sometimes bad, some good, some bad. Some things we like, some things we hate, yeah. Some things suck, some things are good. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes good, sometimes bad.